ladies in the house is father sleeping this morning. Look out, Sonny. Horses coming by. Bring the horses over here.
Make sure them saddlebags don't slip. Bride's got a long ride ahead of it.
How far is it going?
All the way to Williamsburg.
Who's going with it?
Will Papa go? Saying goodbye to Grandfather.
Your father would have been vastly proud, John, to know that you had been elected to fill his place.
It's a deep responsibility, Mother. I trust I've inherited his wisdom as well as his property.
Before you go, John, this is your father's last letter to me. I've never shown it to you. He says, "My dear wife, tonight I'm sorely wearied in spirit and body. In body because the weakness in my arm and side increases. In spirit because of the coarse and ill-bred Patrick Henry. Today, in the house, he spoke aloud such words of disloyalty and treason that merely to think back upon them now palsies my hand with anger. I replied to him in a most emphatic manner, reminding him that we were all Englishmen. And there it ends."
Very clever.
To see a familiar face in person of Tom Jefferson. You will recall that we met him during the holidays last year at your uncle's home. We discovered we had much in common because he too was here to serve his first term in the House of Burgesses. I then spied an older and dearer friend, Colonel William Byrd, who had known me since I was Robert.
Washington. My pleasure, Colonel Byrd. I wish it were as easy to shatter some of your hard-shelled opinions. If only my plantations were doing as well. How is your dear mother?
She enjoys excellent health. I heard, as my father heard, the other voice of Patrick Henry. We were debating our stand on the Townsend duties by which Parliament would tax us on the importation of glass, lead, paint, paper, and tea.
We must pass these resolutions of opposition to the iniquitous Townsend duties here to the Crown. They speak the sentiments of sedition, says our friend from Goochland County. Their passage would be an act of treason, says Mr. Carter. I seem to recall that 4 years ago, when I spoke out against the Stamp Act, there were also cries of treason. The Stamp Act was a tax. We opposed it. It was repealed. The Townsend duties are a tax. Oppose them with equal steadfastness, and they will be repealed.
Mr. Speaker, the Governor commands the immediate attendance of your House in the Council Chamber.
Gentlemen, I have heard your results, and I argue they are ill effects. You have made it necessary to dissolve you.
And I was not alone. There was considerable discussion, whereupon Colonel Washington and others proposed that we continue our session at the Raleigh. Some of my friends, however, thought this an affront to the Crown and declined to attend. I was about to agree, but Tom Jefferson persuaded me that there was at least no harm in listening.
I think the Parliament of Great Britain has no more right to put their hands into my pocket for money without my consent than I had to put my hands into yours.
With your permission, Colonel Washington.
Mr. Jefferson?
As a new member of the House of Burgesses, I felt it proper to refrain from voicing my sentiments on this.
South, the embargoes having its effect. The ladies are learning the comforts of homespun linsey woolsey. Sassafras tea is served at our best tables. And the finest gentlemen are learning that New Jersey cider has many of the properties of imported Madeira. The plan drawn up that day at the Raleigh, along with the action taken by other colonies, has had its effect in England. Parliament has repealed the tax on all imports, and the shops are once again filled with much sought English goods. The tax on tea, however, remains. Although it is a mere threepence a pound, some look upon this paltry sum as more an insult than a tax. Say that I will face none. I doubt if I will be re-elected.
Not re-elected? Nonsense.
There are many freeholders, my dear, who think me too conservative.
They will vote for you still. I'll wager you a new hat you'll be returned.
As Colonel Byrd would say, Madam, you have made a wager. Your reports of Robert's schooling and Patrick Henry's continual protests. In any case, our new governor will arrive soon, and we must all stand for a new election. This time, my dear, if I win, I hope I'll make a better choice in ladies' hats.
Gentlemen freeholders, the successful candidates are Thaddeus Tate and John Fry.
Congratulations, John.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You will kindly not laugh at your brother. He is vastly proud of that gown. Now turn around. Robert, we were just saying how handsome you look.
This is the general court. The royal governor and his council sit there. The jury and the public out here in the benches.
The prisoner, Carolyn Fry, will step forward.
Robert, how did you get up there?
For disrespectful laughter directed at a student of the College of William and Mary, I sentence you to 3 days in the public stop.
You come down immediately.
Court stands adjourned.
There, Robert, is where your grandfather sat, and where I sit now.
Where does Patrick Henry sit, Father?
Directly opposite.
Wouldn't you like to try your father's seat?
It's a unicorn, my dear. The lion and the unicorn, the symbol of Britain. It's there to remind us that we're English. But there are some among us who admire certain men who have long forgotten that fact. Mr. Witt's house, Juniors. In the Capitol gates. There are those who condemn such action and those who condone them. I am strangely troubled, feeling not at home in either camp. Yesterday at Westover, we fell to discussing the latest reports from Boston. Now Sam Adams and his hotheads want to pledge not to import a single article of English goods. Before long, the nation and prayer. It has had a most amazing effect on the citizenry. He is a man who commands the respect of everyone and can scarcely be accused of party interest. I have never seen so many people answer a call to worship, and I am told that many other parishes have followed our example. As you know, the sentiments of the multitude have never swayed me in my convictions. But I must report, however, that I was deeply moved that so many, and especially the Reverend Mr. Price, carried in their hearts a compassion for the citizens of Boston.
Today a great seafaring city has been blockaded. Today a great seafaring people can look ahead only to empty wharves and ships rotting at anchor. The distance from Boston to Williamsburg must now be measured not only by the hazards of miles, but by the hazards of a common threat against our mutual welfare. It is to this purpose that we join in a covenant pledged today. A covenant to work together in God's name with all friends of liberty against injustice and tyranny. Let us pray.
In the end, cooler heads prevailed and the crowd dispersed without incident. But the events of that night and others like them to the north have led to real violence. Only yesterday came shocking news of bloodshed in Massachusetts. John Randolph told me that the militia resisted and that hundreds of British redcoats and citizens lie dead at Concord and Lexington.
The sword has been drawn. God knows when it will be sheathed. Step by step, we have reached a position from which there can be no retreat for either side.
Boys! When I call out your names, fall in over here!
Forgive me once more, dear Anne, if I am to share the burden of the decision I must make today. Jefferson and the rest of the Virginia delegates to the Continental Congress await our decision in Philadelphia. Shall we, or shall we not instruct them to propose independence? The issue is a momentous one, but strangely, Anne, in this hour it seems to me less political than personal.
You sent for me?
Yes, Robert. Before I vote, I wanted to talk to you.
Yes, sir.
George Morton.
I vote for Pulling, son.
Daniel Ritchie.
Very well, sir.
Yes.
Good.
Clemens Clinton.
Robert, someday you will inherit Riverton. You realize that? Today we vote for independence.
John Carter.
We vote for war, destruction. Your legacy may well be only poverty. It's your future we decide today.
Alexander Jackson. Here.
I know.
Until now I have always instructed you. Now you must instruct me.
Robert Fry.
We both are late, Father.
Robert Fry. Grab a musket and get in rank. Edward Fulton.
sweetheart.
I know.
Who's that game you want to play with? It's a hell of a weather vane up there, huh?
Yeah, it sure is.
Unfortunately, the original palace burned down in 1781 when it was being used as a military hospital after the siege of Yorktown. It was an accidental fire and it destroyed the building in a matter of hours. Luckily, we had enough documentary and archaeological evidence survived to be able to rebuild the palace on its original site. That was completed in 1934. So a reconstructed land to administer, so they started imposing taxes. I'm sure you realize colonists did not take kindly to those. So Norman Berkeley, the Baron of Ottertop, was sent over here because he was known for being very diplomatic.
Yeah. Okay, you just...
As you're coming in, take a moment to look at these two side rooms, then join me back here in the middle.
You enjoy these little chats, so. Informal little chats.
Baby Henry.
9 Monticello. Happy as if he was on salary as I was ladling out his milk. He was just dribbling with all sorts of pleasure as I did so. Excuse me, my dear.
Remember we saw the same movie?
Behind the church.
The church. Sure, walking in there.
Meeting place of burglary. It's all the whole floor. Maybe you'll see Inspector Tracy.
Kindle your religion in the savage heart. Gather the fruits of the teeming frontiers before they spill into other hands. 144 Englishmen with names like Brooks, Archer, Ford, Midwinter, Webb, Smith became fair meadows and goodly tall trees with such fresh waters running through the woods, I was almost ravished at the sight thereof. They planted a cross, called the site Cape Henry, decided it unsuited to their designs. For 2 weeks, they probed the wilderness. And then, having found the place that was to become the first permanent English settlement in the New World, they rowed the spacious Isle of the James to their destination. They went ashore. Here is the place, they said. Jamestown. None of their kind met them. The trees grew into a high, silent barrier. Beyond that lay the mysterious shape of the new continent. A few red men watched, unseen but felt, from the thick arbors of vine and twisted foliage. A bird called from deep in the forest. Even that Englishman whose head was crowded with a dream of easy riches must have felt a sense of awe of Genesis. They set to work to build, for an Englishman must have a roof over his head. The material was at hand, but the hand was unpracticed. Notwithstanding, they built a fort. The fort was shaped like a wedge, a three-sided thing with bulwarks at each corner. Inside the bulwarks were the stout English cannon from off the ships. A man they had discovered could stop forever with an arrow in his back. Like a giant picket fence, the palisades enclosed their rude huts, the storehouse, the chapel. This was their home in the New World, this first pioneer stockade. As the frontiers unlocked and another room opened, this was part of the heritage. The fort would move westward, be replaced, move on. 40 of the Englishmen sailed away to carry the news of Jamestown home. The 104 began their trials. This new land passed a harsh sentence. Unpredictable elements scattered plans, shattered hopes. Industries such as glass-making, lumbering, silk culture, wine-making remained a potential. The artisans complained of their tools. The gentlemen drifted from one grand illusion to another. Where were the streets lined with gold? The easy riches, the London company under whose banner they traveled, would wander too. By autumn, the shadow of disease began to fall upon them, long and sharp as a needle. The water was bad. The marshes had been alive all summer with an unholy song. Mosquitoes, fevers, they quarreled among themselves. It took a strong man to rule them. George Percy was one. John Smith, part buccaneer, part leader, a bold man, sometimes vain, boastful, was another. In January of their first year, their number reduced to 50. Our first citizens watched a fire go down. Smoke from the expiring fort drifted over the marshes. Reverend Hunt's pew and beloved books were in ash. So was Ford's mattress. The fire fizzled out under a green January sky. More than one haggard, bone-weary, heart-sick, homesick Englishman must have suppressed an image of night drawn snugly down over London town, the flares coming up to light his way, remembered lanes, gardens, firesides, faces, and would have walked away from this Jamestown without a backward look.
Okay. Well, I'm going to assume everyone's here. Saying first, the Pocahontas statue over in the Old Town area, then down to the riverfront, and then down to its site in New Town. So hopefully you'll stick with me as we head to our first stop and talk about everyone's favorite subject, starvation. Get excited, it goes downhill from here.
coming from England. They were also dependent on gift baskets that the Powhatans gave them. Now the Powhatans gave them these gift baskets, what I call gift baskets, because those of you near the back, you can have to help me out and tell me when everyone is here. It's really appreciated. We're pretty much here? Yep. Okay, we'll take your word for it. Now many of you probably think you found a bright spot in my tour. You've noticed that the early fort was built alongside the river. Therefore, they probably had plenty of water to drink. Competing with this wind here, someone's trying to yell. This is the time of the Protestant Reformation. James is one of the first Protestant kings of England. Therefore, the fact that the English are Protestant is very important. Also, the English in 1588 put a direct challenge council every year from 1607 to 1617 discussing the best ways to wipe out Jamestown. Now, the king did not attack Jamestown because he believed it to be only a temporary commercial venture. However, this is not to say that all the Spanish agreed with him. Like any good...
Any remnants of the colony?
Came here. They were here to get a profit back for their investors. Now, it was sort of like a modern internet company, as there was no build time. People back in England wanted a profit immediately. Now, around you can see the foundations of the early houses. Well, reconstructed foundations of the early houses. So I encourage you to walk down that way, look at the reconstructed foundations. I also encourage you to revisit the area around the Pocahontas statue. Notice there's a lot of people digging in the dirt. They're working on an archaeological excavation. In fact, they're working around the original fort. The fort was only found in 1994. Therefore, it's a very recent dig. I encourage you to all go up their ramp and see what they're doing. Also, I encourage you all to go in the church over there. The foundation.
Guy. A shilling.
Maybe you should have stayed away from Mulberry Avenue too. If you'd like to view this free 15-minute film, please proceed to Theater 1 at this time. Thank you. Good afternoon. Welcome to Jamestown Island. The next viewing of a free 15-minute film about Jamestown will begin in 1 minute in Theater 1. If you'd like to view this free 15-minute film, please proceed to Theater 1 at this time. Thank you.
There, now. I can see this. Good.
Maybe we should cut down the front.
I already went at my head. All right, I'm in.
Father in here.
This is bad. I've been bad.
Don't open it up. Yeah.
Okay, you.
As long as I want to.
I'll buy your bail. Look at David.
I can't even move my head back in my stomach. What are you talking about?
Let her out of there. It's a lot of fun, that was. I'm to build one in our yard.
Yeah, I'll keep you in there all day long.
Dave?
Yeah?
You stopped for her. He stopped for her. He'll stop for you.
I don't need him to stop. There's a movie camera.
You wanted to, yeah.
I'm sorry. I wish I could take you. We gotta take these old men. One more man. There he goes. Now, that line is for the right way. Now, rest of you from here on down.
Can we go over here where I can get a better
West City House, perfect that is straight up and down. We got 3 bunkers on station today. Get your meeting up again and post part of your heart. Stand straight. Those of you with big guns, suck them in. Don't explode, just suck them in. The rest of you leave know where they are. Oh, you got 2 good kids, I trust, one on top of the other. Now this is 8. That's Sally, the most scientific thing I'm going to teach you, but I will teach you properly. Watch me. Shoulder. Arm. 1, 2, 3. See? You thought it was funny to hide behind that big guy. Now you can't see that. Your left shoulder. With me then. I use that term loosely as never been used. Present. Arm. 1, 2, 3. Back with your right foot. Other foot on the left and right. Shoulder. Arm. Up. Next hand on top of that. Hand over. Arm. Come to attention. Your right hand over on the weapon. Present. Arm. Right hand down. 1, 2. Left hand on the weapon. 3. Right hand below. Step back on your right foot. Pull it into your matching gun. Fall. Stay together. Command to the front. Around now. Come on. Now swing like a door. Swing out this way. Come on. Just pull cat.
It's better, right?
You make contact in this direction. You look in this direction. Look, Will. Arm. Stay with me. Get a hand on your behind.
Better.
Go in it. Let's straighten it out. Get out there. Come on with your left foot. Let's go. Move out. Wraps it up.
Gentlemen and ladies, if I may have your kind attention for but a moment. Mr. Peyton Randolph, Esquire, is preparing to depart this city for Philadelphia and is even now saying his last goodbyes to his kindred within the courthouse. He asked me to address the populace, and in so doing a week ago, he requested that I might address the people of Virginia, those here in Williamsburg, and admonish us to peace, admonish us to patience, admonish us to those virtues which distinguish a Christian. But forgive me, some of you may not know me. Allow me to introduce myself. I had the honor to be mayor of Williamsburg during happier days back in '69. I am your servant, Georgette. I may say again, gentlemen and ladies, that those were happier days. For even 5 years ago, a man could declare himself a friend of British law and liberty here in Virginia and think himself a man to do so. Although today any man that would do so would make himself a slave. I cannot give the speech that I had prepared, for the events that have come to us from the northward inform me that the matter is of great urgency. Peace cannot be had in the face of villainy. Peace cannot be had in the face of a highwayman, and that, gentlemen and ladies, is what we face. You cannot see it today, for today is a glorious day, a gift of providence. But, gentlemen and ladies, I tell you, there is a storm brewing. There is a storm brewing to the northward. You can hear it rumbling across the fields from Massachusetts. And I tell you straight, many hundreds already have been struck dead by the lightning of that storm. An hour of testing, gentlemen and ladies, has come upon us. One not known to our fathers or our grandfathers, not perhaps since the time of the English Civil War in the 1640s. The time has come to ask yourselves, who are you? I might answer. I can look around. I see farmers and tradesmen, artisans, husbands, wives, mothers. But these are mere appellations. You could be these things under any nation on earth. But what in fact I see before me is much more. I see before me a people who have as their birthright the right to enjoy their life, the right to enjoy their liberty and their property without molestation. But it was not always the case, gentlemen and ladies. 1,000 years ago and more, our forefathers were subjugated by the Romans. Somewhat less than that, our forefathers were subjugated by the Normans. It has been through a millennia's exertions that we have been reposed with law and liberty, due process, habeas corpus, trial by jury, all the things we've taken for granted since we've been children. All the things that we are guaranteed and warranted by the charters of this colony. But Parliament flies in the face of our charters. Parliament views all of you as a lesser species of prison, not worthy of English law and liberty. The proof of that, gentlemen and ladies, was evident a week and a half ago when our own governor, Lord Dunmore, the protector, the Governor General of Virginia, acted not the part of our friend, he acted not the part of our guardian, but the part of our enemy, and had our gunpowder stolen out of the magazine behind you. Mr. Random, should Lord Dunmore act presumptively? Indeed, Sergeant, if you'd exercise your men and set them out for the inspection by the Speaker, I should be grateful.
No one is to go up on the stairs. Everyone will be asked
Gentlemen and ladies, though these men are yet unpracticed in the military drill, I tell you this, one man defending his home is worth 10 assailants. And in the hour of trial, in the hour of test, I should rather be next to these two companies of brave men defending their homes than at the side of 10 regiments of His Majesty's foot. Gentlemen and ladies, it now falls to me that happy opportunity to introduce to you a gentleman you know already perfectly. His family has served Virginia for decades. His father was knighted by King George II during happier times. He himself has served as Speaker of the House of Burgesses, moderator of the Virginia Convention, and last autumn he was honored by all the principal gentlemen of America in Philadelphia, being elected the President of the Grand American Congress. Gentlemen and ladies, the Honorable Mr. Peyton Randolph, Esquire. I think we should show our appreciation to these two fine companies of loyal men.
Before I begin to speak to you this day, I have noticed a great many of the youth among us. I would invite them to come to the foot of the courthouse stairs. It is, after all, your heritage that we speak of here this day.
Wait! Wheel!
Thank you, Jefferson. Mr. Witt, I wish to thank you. Thank you, my friends. But I ask of you, do not resort to the sword until we are sure the pen is no longer sufficient. This day I was greatly warmed in my heart by God watch over your life. I will say. Good friend. Sir, if I cannot persuade you not to make this trip, at least take care of yourself while you're here. I shall. Just
Gentlemen and ladies, 3 cheers! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! And Godspeed.
Get a pace to the left.
whether rats or cracks have been produced tonight.
Folks, as you exit the bus, if you'll return to these two white pillars.
It's a good place to go and have.
It's hot in the shade. It's pretty good. Long school. Yeah.
You know, Thomas Jefferson was born at the foot of this mountain in 1743. And his father, Peter Jefferson, was one of the earliest settlers in this part of Virginia. And Jefferson was tutored as a boy. He attended the College of William and Mary, studied law. At the age of 26, Jefferson started to build his home. He is a self-taught architect. It takes him 40 years to complete the house. He's away a great deal, 40 long years of public service. He spends 5 years in France. And those years really influenced his taste, his style. He comes back to Monticello, remodels his home, enlarges it from 8 to 21 years. But Jefferson would tell you that he is first and foremost a farmer. Monticello is the center of a 5,000-acre plantation. Thomas Jefferson is a lifelong slaveholder. He inherits slaves from his father, from his father. About 80 slaves at any one time work in the fields, but many of them are skilled craftsmen. Now they're working along Mulberry Road to the south of it. They're in the blacksmith shop, the joinery, making beautiful furniture. Jefferson writes that slavery is an abominable crime. He frees 7 slaves. They're men by a butler slave, Burl Colbert, who was a painter, and he helped build this house. So before we go in, I want you to notice this clock over the door in a day when clocks were unusual, but Jefferson's grandson tells us he is a miser with his money. You look for a clock in almost every room in this house. Before we go in, can I ask you not to use the
The weather vane on top there? Where the wind blows?
Too much house for me.
That was Madison's bedroom.
It was what?
Madison's bedroom.
Oh.
Remember where that was the
Yeah.
last bedroom we were in?
Oh. Short Madison, 5'4".
Gather up right down here and look at a little plan.
I've never seen that color.
They look like berries, but I don't know.
It's beautiful. They make you want it. I don't know.
All these bricks that we had made down there.
We got to get around the house and back to the
We got to get
other
out.
one.
In the stables.
The kitchen's in the front. Yeah.
Pull back strip and land on the feet. What is usually like
So then he...
Wine cellar.
More trouble getting the logs on the project. We had some 40-inch logs, and so he couldn't pick them up.
Wow.
So, then we had to get another piece of equipment out of there, and it's just, that's something. Yeah, we...
Brick floor for the cellar, too. More. Kitchen. Oh, yeah. Fireplace. This was very comfortable in the warm in the winter and cool in the summer. On the pond. We'll go back up those steps and out there. Across the way. With your zoom.
Yeah, coming in.
too.
Folks, if you would look out of the left side of the bus, you will be able to see the family cemetery. Now, Mr. Jefferson is buried at the top of the stairs, center on that large stone monument. His immediate family is buried next to him. At the present time, he has approximately 190 of his descendants buried there with him. Today, Mr. Jefferson has approximately 2,000 living descendants that have the right to be buried with him.
Set.
Series now shifts to Atlanta. Mike Snyder, News Radio, WTAM 1100. People come to work at Swage Block for a lot of reasons.
They give you a lot of opportunities. People are nice, the atmosphere is nice.
Place with a good, solid future.
You have a lot of fun with the people you work with, and everyone's treated with respect. And I like that.
But one thing they all seem to say is they like working for a company that cares about them and their careers. It's just a great place to work.
If you're looking for a company that's loyal to its employees, I would say come to Swagelock.
If these aren't the kinds of things you're saying about your job,
They do care, and it shows.
don't you think it's time you called Swagelock? Call us today at 1-800-SWAGELOCK. We're a worldwide company in business for more than 50 years with over 2,500 local associates.
Packages in northeastern Ohio and benefits that start on your first day. We're Swage.